Hey folks, welcome to the show. Let's finally talk about the Norris Trophy nominees. In front of me, or in front of you, I guess, is the nominees that were selected, that being Quinn Hughes, Roman Josi, and Cale Makar. Along with their team and nationality, I put their games played, their goals, assists, points, plus minus. I am aware of the reliability of that. Average time on ice, their short-handed time on ice per game, hits, blocks, takeaways, Fenwick 4 percentage, and their relative Fenwick 4, and their defensive zone percentage. That should have a percentage there. I'm fixing it live, or not recorded, but and penalty minutes. For the numbers I felt it was important, I colored them based on how they measured up to the rest of defensemen. So there is some red in there. All three defensemen weren't like major hitters, but actually Quinn Hughes had more hits than Roman Josi and Cale Makar, which is interesting. He had 55, though I would consider Roman Josi and Cale Makar both more capable hitters because we've seen it. I just think that's interesting. I wasn't going to talk about that right then and there, but it just came up. But let's talk to them. So offensively, they all had great years. To win the Norris, I think you have to be both very good offensively and defensively. I personally believe you should also, unless your offense was just so incredible with good 5-on-5 defense, I think you should also have some short-handed time on ice as well. But I think that's just me and not the voters. All three of these guys deserve nominations. I don't have anything against these guys getting nominated. And the defenseman who I thought had the best year is among them. Let's start with Quinn Hughes. He was the headliner for the Vancouver Canucks resurgent season. He led the league in assists and points by a defenseman, and he also smashed his own personal best records, hitting 10 goals for the first time in his career, and not stopping at 10, he hit 17. He also had one of the better plus minuses, which, yes, doesn't mean much, but when it's a plus 38, that's pretty impressive. The other areas that also kind of put him up above these other guys is he had strong relative Fenwick 4 with a plus 7.2. Roman Josi, he's won the Norris before. He led the league in goals by defenseman with 23. The Cale Makar was not far behind. He also logged in heavy minutes, 151 blocks, which is the most of these three. Again, Cale Makar is not far behind. And he was part of the reason for Nashville racing towards a playoff spot at the end. And lastly is Cale Makar. He had 21 goals, so one of the few defensemen to have a 20-plus goal season. One of the few defensemen to have 90 points. He still had heavy minutes, and unlike the other two, was relied upon for a good penalty kill. He played over 2.5 minutes on the penalty kill. He was also a good blocker with 148, and one of the better defensemen at getting takeaways with 70. Looking at these stats, to me, even though his analytics aren't as pretty as Quinn and Roman, meaning his Fenwick 4 is what I mean by that, I think it's obvious to me in that I think Cale Makar should win the Norris Trophy. The main reason is because of the shorthanded time and ice, because a lot of the stats between these three guys are pretty similar. They all were really excellent offensively. Roman and Cale were both great blockers, and while Quinn didn't have a lot of blocks, he still had really good 5-on-5 defensive numbers. But then you look at some other stuff, and while Quinn had a lot of takeaways for a defenseman, in the top 50% with 43, Makar had 70, which is a ton for anybody, not just defensemen. He was also the most disciplined of the three, only 16 penalty minutes. And he still had, so despite being one of the better defensive defensemen this year, he still had over 20 goals and over a point per game. So to me, it's Cale Makar. And with full due respect to Quinn Hughes and Roman Josi for having incredible years, I don't think it's that close in my opinion. But that's just me. I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'd also appreciate it if you subscribe and turn on notifications. And while you're here, like the video if you think I've earned it. I hope to see you in some other videos I have planned. Thank you very much. And I will see you in the next one, I hope.